Welcome to where we are learning the facts while exploring current health related topics. I am Dra.Maloof, and so today we're going to be talking about the just about perfect nutritious meal, rice and beans. And so, why is this important right now? Because a lot of individuals are trying to extend their dollars in the supermarket. Many people have lost their nutritional benefits. Others are visiting food pantries, food banks, and so if there is a choice, look to rice and beans. So this is your health, your knowledge, your power. What is it about rice? Well, rice comes in two common categories. So we have white rice and brown rice. So white rice, it is a very good staple. It has a long shelf life, so you can keep it in a closed container for up to 5 years if it is stored properly, which means removing all of the moisture and keeping it out of direct light. Brown rice, it can be stored for 6 months to a year if it is stored properly. And so, why that difference? Well, if we were to look at the anatomy of a grain of rice, you end up having the husk. And so, with white rice or brown rice, the husk is going to be removed. That's 20% of the grain of rice. Beneath the husk, you end up having bran. Bran, this is where we end up having fibrous layers. There's a lot of fiber in this bran. There's a lot of protein in the bran, vitamins in the bran, minerals in the bran, and some oils. And those oils, after 6 months, after 8 months, after a year, those oils become rancid. And that's why the shelf life for brown rice is not as long as it is for white rice. Beneath the bran, we end up having the endosperm. And the endosperm, this is what we look at as the actual white rice grain. And so when we take a look at rice, if you have a choice to select whether white rice or brown rice, both of them, they have a glycemic index, meaning that the amount of glucose that is deposited or energy that is deposited into the bloodstream for white rice, there's a really quick spike, so it will shoot that glucose up into the blood really quickly. For brown rice, because there's a lot more fiber, the brown rice has a lower, more gradual release into the bloodstream. Processed white rice, it doesn't have as much fiber as the brown rice, and that's because not only is the husk removed, that outer layer, but the bran is removed where there is the bulk of the fiber for the starchy grain. And because there's a lot more fiber in the brown rice, the digestion takes a longer period of time. So to digest the brown rice, the person will end up feeling fuller longer. There are vitamins and minerals that are added to the white rice because most of those vitamins and minerals have been removed because they were within the bran layer. With the brown rice, those natural vitamins and minerals, they are retained. So it's a much better, healthier option. Both of them are gluten free, and both of them have a toxin in them called arsenic. But we'll address that arsenic in just a minute. For the white rice, though, it's not the best for those who have diabetes mellitus or hyperglycemia because it has such a high glycemic index. For brown rice, that's not the best for individuals who have kidney disease because of the high potassium and the high phosphorus content. So, white rice would be a better option for those individuals who have kidney disease. Brown rice would be a better option for those individuals who have diabetes mellitus. And so, if we have 1 cup of cooked rice, you can see the white rice and brown rice. White rice and all of the nutrients that are in both white and brown rice, you can see the little asterisks that I have here against iron, thiamine, niacin, folate. This asterisk here means that the nutrients have been added to the white rice. So if you take a look for iron, iron with white rice would not have this much, 2.8 milligrams. But because during the processing of the white rice, the factories, they add the iron back to the white rice, and so they increase that content. Same thing for vitamin B1, that's thiamine, vitamin B3, that's niacin. So we end up seeing that there are elevated levels of some of these nutrients, and that's because they were added back into the rice. If you take a look at folate, this here is great for brain development. It's 108 micrograms here. Brown rice only has 18. Why is it 108? Because that's been added to the white rice. And so zinc, vitamin A, and vitamin B, they are also added to white rice in some areas, some geographic areas, and in some programs. So now what about beans? So dry beans, they can be stored for 1 to 2 years. If the beans are in a can, they can be stored for 2 to 5 years. And so fresh beans, they can be refrigerated up to 1 week. And those fresh beans, if you blanch them in hot water, take them out and freeze them, you can freeze them for up to 10 months. So if we look at the anatomy of a bean seed, the cotyledons, this is the bulk of the bean, what you actually see. This is where we end up getting those nutrients. We have the starches, the proteins, and the lipids that are contained within those cotyledons there. When looking at types of beans, there are a variety of beans that are available to you. And so most of those beans, if you have a choice, you can select any one of those beans because the majority of them have some of the most nutritious content. The fiber, the proteins are very important in addition to those nutrients. So we end up having common beans here, and the beans, it's important to mention that these beans, they are linked to the good cholesterol, increasing the good cholesterol. They provide fiber, carbs, proteins, and nutrients. They have a low glycemic index, which ends up balancing out that white rice, right? And then if you are going to end up using beans that are not in the can, that are not fresh, these are the dry beans. It's important to pre-soak those beans before you cook them. So soaking those beans before you cook them, soaking them overnight, soaking them for a few hours, that is going to reduce the amount of raffinose, which is a component, it is a triglyceride that actually causes the bloating and the gases that are associated with eating beans for many individuals. Also, soaking the pre-cooked beans, they will release phytic acid. That phytic acid is what would prevent the absorption of iron, zinc, and calcium minerals. But sometimes you can't remove all of that phytic acid by soaking. So if you're not able to soak the beans overnight, if you're not able to soak the beans for 3 or 4 hours, you're only able to soak them for maybe 30 minutes or an hour, all of that phytic acid has been removed. But guess what? There's a benefit to the phytic acid if you cannot remove it all. That phytic acid will bind to the arsenic, that toxin that we find in the grains of rice, and it will end up preventing that arsenic from remaining in the body. Phytic acid can also bind to mercury, which is another harmful metal that can be accumulating in the body. The phytic acid can prevent tooth decay, prevents kidney stones, and so important, it can inhibit cancer cell growth and inhibit the spread or the metastasis of cancerous cells. So, beans are very nutritious. They are a wealth of vitamins and minerals, these essential vitamins and minerals that our bodies need. The dietary fiber is extremely important to our bodies. And so, if you are able to select rice and beans when you are shopping or going to the pantry, that is a complete meal. And to make sure that you enhance those absorption of nutrients, if you're able to pick up any of the foods that are enriched with vitamin C, berries, oranges, mangoes, spinach, tomatoes, or pineapple, those foods that are high in vitamin C, it increases the iron absorption from the beans. So wherever you may find yourself, you can always improve your health. Stay healthy and well. I am Dra.Maloof, sharing knowledge to empower you. If you would like, I would appreciate it. Please subscribe and like the video. And until the next time, stay healthy and well. Take care.